Animalai, what is so special is, I mean, imagine Hazarko, beginnings were in such a remote part of Nepal, right? And now to think that Hazarko career is urban planning in the US, right? Kosto contrast. Okay? Like, do you reflect on that? It's an
That's
interesting sort of, journey.
yeah, yeah. That's a very interesting observation. All the way from really remote places in Nepal to kind of urban planning and doing urban development in a very developed country. That's a pretty big leap. But during my time, almost anyone of kind of my age, within 10 years elder or 10 years younger to me, the trajectory was very similar because Nepal was 99.9% of the people had difficulties basically making a living. And then a vast majority of the people those days were in hills and then they slowly begin to work to the plains. The plain was not as big populated as densely populated is right now because of the malaria and the other diseases. So most of the people that you encounter these days, you are a different generation, but the previous generation, the story that I have is not very peculiar. So I don't really have to take a lot of credit and claim because almost everyone went through the same tracks. But yes, that one, it's a big contrast.
Awesome, awesome. त्यो सोच्दाखेरि अम्बिकाजी, did you, what did you dream of? पहिला भोजपुरमा and, through your journey in Viratnagar and so on, what did you want to be? Is what you are idea?
Okay.
Is that, close enough?
No, that's a good question. It's probably not close enough at all. It's not even close by any chance because I didn't even know what urban planning was at that time.
Right.
So during that time, the exposure in the hills were very limited in Bhojpur. Basically, what you listen to is maybe a couple hours of radio. Even that came along even late. But it used to be open only for a couple hours and only a few households used to have the radios. Apart from that, it was like word of mouth. It was very rural area. Some people came to the hand to get salt and spices and clothes and those kind of things once in a while. But they had to go through a lot of hurdles. They had to cross the river on a boat, cross, Arun and many other smaller rivers, and stay in between many times and then come back. So the exposure in terms of what was happening in the world or the global situation was extremely limited. As a matter of fact, pretty easy those days, I don't think there was a reach of the government in the village and the place that we used to have because there was basically nothing. There were no police, there were no courts, there were no medical places, there were no schools. So the only one small town was the Bhojpur Bazaar, which was very long distance from us, and that was basically a commercial center. And I think they had maybe a very small office, and it was so long ago that the government in Nepal did not have its reach all across the country. So you're basically on your own. And if a big thing happened, basically you resolve that in the village. And then if it is something that was like a murder or something, then eventually somebody walked to the small court, one or two people in Bhojpur. And then if it was big, then people, sometimes I used to hear people went to Kathmandu, it was a certain day's walk. That was the only way to go there. So given all of that, I didn't really know much on what to think of the career or profession and all of that. But once I came to Dharan, and then a lot of teachers were from Bihar and UP, and then there were some of the teachers from the town. And then I got to see a life of a teacher because there was a lot of prestige and a reputation that you come across them on the street, you do namaste and sir. They were taken into a very high kind of position and they were trusted. So in the beginning, my aim was, in those days, the salary used to be, I think, for a teacher about 200 rupees a month. And Gorkha Patra is a paper that once in a while we used to get to see. And that used to be the salary. And I thought, wow, it would be a good life if I could become a math or science teacher and earn a salary of 200 rupees and be called the Saravane across the street. That's as much as I could think. And actually, eventually, to come back to your question, I did remain in some sort of academy because as soon as I finished my Colombo Plan scholarship and my bachelor's degree in architecture and engineering in India, I came back and I taught at the Institute of Engineering in Lalitpur, in Pulsok, in Nepal. So I remained a teacher for a long time, maybe about 12, 15 years. And then I came here And even then, it's a combination of professionalism and academia. So I taught on the side at Arizona State University for almost 15 years. So in some ways, that concept kind of remained, but the imagination that I had was entirely different.